All right, cool. Looks like we're online. So welcome back, everybody. This is another round of the StimHack Online Cache Refresh Tournament. This is going to be the first round, sorry, the first game of the top cut. Today we have playing Kevintame, playing as Kevintame, and Matthew Broll playing as mbzrl. And I've got Kevin here on the line with me, and hopefully Matt will show up. If not, they'll just play some games and it'll be cool. So why don't you say hey, Kevin, and let us know kind of how you're feeling about this match, what you know about it, and yeah, what you're excited about.
Yeah, I actually know very little. All I know is he's playing criminal. I haven't taken the time to do much research.
Mm-hmm.
So in this format, so in the cut, we get to pick, whoever has a higher seed gets to pick what they play first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the loser of that match gets to pick the next matchup, and the first person to win goes on. So I think my strongest deck right now is my my Corp, my Moons deck. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Cool. So you're going to try to Corp first, and if
that goes well, then
if you get and if it goes to 3 games, then you'll probably Corp again, unless it turns out that his Corp is very ill-suited to deal with your runner, which is also quite a beast.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, if his runner's very good, I mean, he might trash my Moons deck. That's what you did to me, so.
That's very generous of you to say. Definitely. Oh, looks like your game is up now.
Cool.
So I'm going to go ahead and say watch. Matt's there. Sees that you're both cache refresh compliant.
Cool. Well, I'm going to get off of here, mute myself, and turn off the sound so you can kind of go from there. Okay?
Sounds good. And if anybody's watching on stream, I'll be keeping an eye on the live chat, and I'm signed into the Stim Slack, so message me if you have anything that you'd like to add, and if you want to just jump in on the Hangout and commentate with me, that's also fine. Solo commentary might get a little bit dull, so I'll try to keep it interesting, and if you want to participate, just go for it.
I think it'll be fine. Well, talk to you later.
All right, peace. All right, so this should be a good game. Kevin is in my meta, and I played him during the Swiss, and he's a super strong player, and this deck is an absolute monster. He's basically, you can see from his beginning hand, he's running Sandberg as well as kind of the normal Moons shell in Cache Refresh. So he's got a Stell Moon, field tests, a number of econ assets, friends, all that good stuff. It plays, really the format didn't actually hurt this deck a ton. You still get kind of the Moons, which is obviously the key to it, and friends in high places. Warrior Tracker is available, which actually really helps this deck get some legs. So, we'll see how Kevin sets up here, but his plan so far has generally been to use his ice to defend one remote somewhat taxingly. So like a Fairchild or a Satyr over it, a couple of ice over HQ and R&D, and then, basically using Moons behind that ice, and then transforming later on to Sandberg and a Warride behind that ice. It's a great plan. It kind of is very resilient to a lot of the the runners that you see in this format. So let's see what's going on across the table. Matt's got Ian Sterling, which is cool, and also indicates he's playing Honor and Profit as opposed to Creation and Control for his big box. Seeing that he's got a GPI net tap, which has this effect that exposes an ice and allows you to jack out. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be you're going to see both the Turtle, which the new AI breaker in Criminal, which lets you gain virus counters whenever you expose or access and don't trash a piece of ice. And it looks like my good friend Neuropanzer has pointed out that speaking of legs, one thing that's very notable about taking Honor and Profit is that he's going to have access to legwork, which is a staple piece of HQ multi-access that's not generally available in this format, because Honor and Profit is not a terribly popular big box, especially not compared to Creation and Control. So it looks like Kevin is building up his Moons engine, and Matt has special ordered for Turtle and started to pressure him to pressure Kevin to res ice, and also start building up counters on his Turtle. MC Austerity Policy is an absolute monster in this format. I mean, it's an amazing card, period, but without Wizard or Val around to make a 3 trash cost resource asset unappealing, it's hard to deal with. Cool. So we got a nice Maxwell James play here, getting Satyr off the board and forcing Kevin to use his moons before he was quite ready to. So we only got 4 credits and 2 draws out of it, which is probably about the least impact that Matt could get out of a moons. Accessing Warrior Tracker here and getting another Turtle counter is also a nice bonus. So one of the interesting things in this format has been ways that players are dealing with not having Jackson Howard available. And Kevin has opted for Wampoa Reclamation, which he just installed in Server 3, which is one of the 2 main ways, or 3 main ways, that people are kind of dealing with the lack of Jackson Howard for handling agenda density in HQ. So MC Austerity Policy, Wampoa Reclamation, if you're not super familiar with it, allows the Corp to basically bottom cards from archives through HQ once per turn. So we might see Kevin start trying to stash some of these successful field tests, especially since he's certainly going to know that Matt is on has Honor and Profit, so he has legwork, and he's already getting his Turtle charged up. So MC Austerity Policy is fantastic for the Corp. It's a must trash card. Depending on how the Corp plays it, they normally end up with either a 5-click turn on the 3rd turn that's been installed. So meaning that click 1, they use the click ability, and click 2, they do the click trash and gain 4 clicks. So that lets you score a 4-2 out of hand immediately. And Kevin's got 2 of them burning a hole in his pocket right now. On the other hand, you can also wait another turn and use it to score 5-3s out of hand, which is absolutely sick. And the fact that it's crippling the runner as you go along is pretty bananas. So he did not trash it, partially because of the Warrior Tracker. Though I think he could have beaten that Trace 4, and Ian starts with a link. So I'm not sure why he didn't trash the Warrior, trash it then, but we'll see. Yep. So looks like Kevin has elected to fully charge up MC Austerity Policy. And Matt is not going for it. So Matt is basically saying, I'm going to seed you a 5-3 or a 4-2, unless he's got something sneaky planned for his last click. And Neuropanzer has just asked if if I have any clue whether Kevin is on Byroid Work Crew, because that gives you a lot of extra options when you're using MC Austerity Policy. You can have really insane turns with a combination of operation installs and then Byroid Work Crew triggers and all that good stuff. I don't think that he is, at least in previous iterations, he hasn't been playing Byroid Work Crew. Instead, I've seen him pull a number of really surprising plays with MCA. Doing things like using it to install moons and then install 4 cards and remotes. So instead of using it to score, using it as like a super, tempo boost. All right. So that was an interesting run. I should probably focus more on what's happening at the time. Macrophage is great. And Matt hit it when he had no real way to deal with it, and was a little bit low on credits. So Kevin went ahead and used that to go to trash Turtle and get it out of the game. So that's cool. I mean, Kevin has been really effective at attacking against matchups, and knowing that your opponent's on Criminal, even if you know nothing else about them, means they're probably going to be on Turtle at this point. So Matt losing Turtle is potentially a problem, but now he's got essentially free runs on R&D because he doesn't have anything else in the bin that he cares about. And he's got 1 link to begin with, so he can probably just go ahead and hammer R&D here and build up some bank if that's something he's interested in doing. Yeah, and we've got people chiming in on the live chat saying, "Yep, Macrophage versus Turtle is a it's a thing." And Scribbler M has pointed out that he can run R&D for free at this point. And so he's probably going to continue doing this. I don't think that Kevin's going to. Yeah, Kevin doesn't have his econ set up yet, so he's not really going to be spending a lot on links. Nice. So there's the first score of the game. Matt's up. He's making money off of R&D runs. He's got air encounters going on. He's probably feeling pretty good about this. I believe this was the Satyr adaptive barrier over server 1. He's got enough credits to beat the Warride trace pretty easily if he feels like it. So, I think that he's probably going to go ahead and get rid of that austerity policy if he has the opportunity to do so. And I believe the other card in there was a Sandstone City Grid. He'll probably leave that. But we'll see. Okay, so trashing the MCA. Yep, beats the Warride trace. It's an expensive trash to deal with. And it's crazy. Warrior triggers on every single trash, so he's going to face that trace every single time that he wants to trash one of those. So he's just taking the MCA and leaving the rest of it. So one other thing that's been kind of interesting in this format is that while you don't have Wizard or any of the other cards that are really good at dismantling a corpse horizontal board, you do have a lot of runners basing their econ on Temujin Contract, to lesser extent Aeneas Informant, and now Turtle. So leaving open remotes is not necessarily great if you can avoid it. And so this is definitely a play style that has a little bit of risk just in terms of letting Matt kind of set up arbitrarily. Oof, that's nice. So Matt has just drawn Mining Accident, which is one of my favorite cards in this cycle. If you haven't used it before, this is kind of a golden opportunity where Kevin doesn't have enough credits to pay the 5 to prevent taking the bad pub. And now that Matt's got a bad pub, he's going to be in a really good position to start kind of clearing out these assets. So going straight for Adonis Campaign, paying only 2 real credits to do it. And taking the wind out of Kevin's econ is a great play here. So at this point, Matt's looking, good to me, but I know that moons can really explode out of nowhere. So Kevin on his back foot a little bit, forced to gain a couple of credits, put the austerity policy back, and a really kind of suboptimal install of Estelle Moon. really, you want friends to be something that you use to superpower Estelle Moon and put a lot of counters on her. But in this case, Kevin is really just trying to get out from underneath of Matt's iron grip on his econ. Yep. So he's going to go straight for the moon. Having to only pay 2 credits to take that out and denying Kevin the triggers is really strong. So that's interesting. On that turn, even though Kevin had MCA installed in server 1, he didn't res it and use the click ability, preferring instead just to gain 3 credits from the install and clicking for credits and getting a Maryland campaign on the board. So the all right. Yeah. So by going more horizontal here and using click on MCI austerity, he's really kind of putting the clamps to Matt, because if he's he has 3 clicks, he can check the remotes as they're installed. We have one that he hasn't checked yet. He doesn't really have the clicks available to check all of the remotes and build his board state and move forward. But now that he's going to go ahead and clear him out anyway, it looks like, which makes sense. Blue Moose is great econ for the runner right now, and he'll be able to use that to kind of drip in and dismantle Kevin's board piece by piece. So Kevin's run his first 3-2 sorry beta test. He does have enough to score it immediately with biotic labor, but he's probably going to hang back on that a little bit, just because he would go completely broke in the process, and pretty soon he's going to get a clear shot with MCI austerity policy, and potentially, well, he will also have Wampo reclamation on the board, so he will actually fire this ABT without too much concern about the consequences. So Kevin's HQ is pretty loaded, and if Matt is counting, cards, then this legwork came up at exactly the right time, because he knows that there's only been one agenda on the board. I think he's checked all of these servers at this point, and so he should know that Kevin has at least 2 agendas in hand, maybe more. Yeah, the people on stream are mentioning that this is kind of a dangerous situation for Kevin to be sitting on 3 agendas in hand when he could be getting rid of, could be shedding something to Wampoa. I think that's a Fairchild 3 that's sitting over HQ, which is one of the most common ice that you'll see out of HB in any format, but especially right now. So if Matt gets a 4-click turn, which he hasn't in a while because of MCI austerity policy, then he'll be able to legwork and tear through it. Kevin has definitely been making hay out of the combination of MCA austerity and Fairchild 3, which is such a pain to deal with using a decoder, that it's pretty common that people will just try to click through it, especially Anarch will try just to spoon through it, click it once and then not deal with it anymore. So we've got another interesting use of the very limited influence that Ian Sterling starts with. He's got top hat. So I'm not entirely sure what the plan is with top hat, but it's a neat card, and I'd like to look at it. So I'm glad that he's playing it. Okay. So he's taking a turn to clear out the remotes. Sort of a uphill battle, but it's one worth fighting. So it looks like Kevin's been using the ice that he's picking up to kind of prevent his asset econ from just getting trashed immediately, which makes sense. But at the same time, he must feel like there's kind of a gun pointed at his head with the legwork or 3 sitting in the stack somewhere. All right, so we've got the net tap out. He's tossed the passport. It's a lot less necessary without Turing being in the card pool. And with the GPI net tap and a bunch of ice available, he's going to be able to start charging up Turtle pretty much as he wants to. All right, and it looks like Kevin is probably going to, yep, so he dumps a global food and then shuffles a global food, or puts it back on the bottom of R&D. So I think he's bottomed 2 or maybe 3 agendas at this point using Wampoa. And I think that's since the last Maryland install. So R&D is getting progressively less dense. But we'll see. I haven't been doing a great job of keeping track of that. So I'm not sure what counter he's talking about. Looks like Matt was asking why he didn't get a turtle counter for archives. Yeah, people are saying you have to do it manually. That seems right because there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing in the text of Turtle that says that the card has to be installed. Just if you access a card. And Neuropanzer has pointed out that in theory, Matt could use Top Hat to access agendas that are, not close to the very top of R&D if the game goes long enough, and that definitely, could happen. It's the same theory that is keeping showing off available as a possible crazy tech option for this game. Yeah, I know people are pointing out that yeah, Mod and Ace Informant both specified that the card is not in archives for it to trigger, and Turtle does not. So it's just, you know, any card. And you certainly access some cards in archives, at least unless you preemptive actions a couple times. Cool. Yeah, Michael Lesson just pointed out on stream that, you know, while he does have a lot of agenda points in hand, at least he doesn't have to draw for them when he wants to actually score. And that has been kind of annoying with Wampoa Reclamation from what I've seen, is that while it does keep you from being flooded early on, if you see it, you can get jammed up where you have all of your agendas at the bottom of R&D, and if you don't have shuffle effects like Maryland Campaign to get them off the bottom of R&D, then you can kind of get into a state where the runner is free to wait you out and build their rig and get econ, and know that you don't really have a great chance of drawing the cards you need to score. So normally not a huge problem with Maryland Campaign being one influence and, you know, one of the best econ options. I would say in the game, but certainly in Catch Refresh. And Fast Track is also an option, at least if you're playing Jinteki and are using Honor and Profit as your big box. And it looks like Kevin is thinking and Matt is doing laundry. So we got a little time, just you and me, listeners and viewers. How you doing? All right, so Kevin went ahead and used his austerity counters to score beta test. Did not fire it. And instead is taking the time to ice up the Wampoa and get a second. I think that was the Sandberg went into server 1. So you should have a Sandberg and a City Grid, as well as the Warrior Tracker in there now, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that while austerity policy is definitely, you know, well above the curve in terms of power, it's cool that it's not just useful for scoring agendas, but you can also use it for plays like that, where you score and build up your board state. You know, there's just a lot you can do with the, you know, 7-click turn. Yep, and Neuropanzer, my internet pal, in chat rooms. pointed out that he didn't want to fire the ABT partially because he's been flooded recently, but also I think that since Moons has to run a lot of assets to really make sense, as well as we were saying Warrior trackers and Wampo reclamation, and Sandberg and friends and all these kind of support cards. There's not a ton of room left over for ice, and so having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, having 7 ice down already, and 26 cards left in R&D. There's probably not a ton of ice left in there, and so firing the ABT is dicey, even if he's got one Poa on the board. All right, and so we have a Satyr getting res just out of reach. Oops. And he meant to GPI net tap it first, which makes sense. Yeah, so that's it's fine. These things happen. People are, quite chill and mature on Jinteki for the most part, and mistakes happen. And okay. Yeah, and it's sort of on both of them because Kevin should be aware that GPI is on the board, but Matt should probably be aware that it's not a super well-known card, or at least not yet. And so giving your opponent a heads up that there's some weird timing that they need to be aware of is probably nice. But anyway, it's all good. Looks like Kevin has chosen not to res it, which makes sense in that there's I got the field test, and that there's no real surprise left to it, and he's going to have turtle counters momentarily, so there's no real benefit in actually resing that and spending the 4 credits on it. So Matt was able to scoop up the field test, which Kevin is probably not super excited about, but it could be a lot worse. The Sansan was going to make that scoreable next turn, though he didn't really have anything in hand to actually follow up with in terms of the field test install. Yeah, so it looks like the turtle implementation is still a little bit off. I mean, Jinteki is a fantastic site, and the people that run it are incredible people. But there's just a ton of interactions to deal with, and it's hard to actually cover all of them. So now we've got the timing worked out correctly. The Fairchild 3 being strength 5 and Turtle having 5 counters is kind of the critical breakthrough here. Because at this point, there's not a lot of ice left in Kevin's deck that is threatening when you have Turtle with 5 counters and 16 plus credits, the ability to rack up another 8 on archives and the bad pub. So I think that probably Matt's best line of play right now is to keep charging up turtle and chipping away at Kevin's econ, waiting for agendas to pile up in HQ. And then try to pull off a legwork at a time when he can get 2 agendas and finish the game off. So, Kevin purges, which makes a lot of sense. But Matt's probably just going to stick with his game plan and, build up a huge pile of money, get the counters he needs, and continue to threaten everything that Kevin puts out there. So, if he feels like it, every turn he can just run archives a couple of times. Get some counters. He can just go look at some ice with Blue Moose on the board and 22 credits in his pool. He can easily rack up 4 counters every turn, and then Fairchild is basically useless because he'll just GPI once and then be ready to run any remote or anything that Kevin sets up. So this is looking pretty tough for Kevin. I'm not really sure how he's going to get out of this one, if he has any good ways to do so. He's, yeah, I don't know. I don't really see him being able to effectively tax Matt out at this point. Yeah, so this run of server 2 was really interesting. It shows off like just how powerful Turtle and Aeneas and GPI work together. He's able to, look at it nicely. He knows Kevin's not going to res, get the turtle counter from GPI, access a card he knows he's not going to trash. The Sandberg doesn't mean much when it can only give, when it's not giving any bonus yet. Get a credit from Aeneas and get another counter from Turtle. So it looks like Matt is really putting the screws to him now and has decided to go and clear out Kevin's main option for winning, which was Sand City Grid and Warrior Trackers. And Kevin is now super flooded. So I don't know. Matt is using a lot of discipline and not just immediately, ransacking HQ. But at some point, that legwork is going to really finish burning a hole in his pocket. And he's just going to go for it. Probably some point soon. Yeah, my pal Neuropanzer has pointed out that the turtle is really pressuring the corp in an interesting way here, because you can't leave servers uniced, but spreading out your ice over your entire board leaves you way too thin and taxes the corp clicks. Yep. So this run R&D is interesting. You know, Matt's got turtle strong enough that he can just go ahead and break macrophages subs. So he broke the trash and broke the purge, and it allowed the RFG and the run to fire. Kevin's 2-4, so he gets to access a card, get another turtle counter, get an AS informant counter or credit. And now with 2 clicks left, 9 credits, 1 ISO for HQ. You know, obviously he doesn't know what we know, looking at Kevin's hand, but seems like a pretty good time to actually go for it. So Kevin gets some money, puts Maryland on the table, and looks like he used Wampoa to bottom one of the 3 agendas in his hand, the field test. So on the plus side, Scribbler M on stream has pointed out that Kevin has denied Matt his ID ability the entire game, which is, you know, not nothing, because, you know, Ian Sterling making money is a big deal. Ian is actually really cool for this build because he's clearly got a couple of moving parts in his rig. He's okay with the corpse setting up a little bit because that gives him time to use turtle and get into a state like this where, you know, Kevin really just doesn't have a lot of options for. So another mining accident, another bad pub. Kevin didn't want to go broke, which makes sense. Yeah, people on stream are asking about why no HQ runs, and I'm speculating that maybe, you know, since Wampo has been on the board running for so long, you know, Matt might think, oh, well, there's probably just no agendas in HQ, which is, you know, also is just pretty reasonable. It's been a little bit hard from watching this game over the shoulder to see exactly how many Genesee has been bottoming with Wampoa, but it's certainly been more than one. Man, Turtle gets up to strength so fast. It's kind of bananas. Okay, so now he's using Top Hat to do Top Hat things. Using the credits from Temujin and Bad Pub to get in essentially for free. Or I guess actually for free. He's for a net of 3 credits on each run. 4 with Desperado. He's using Top Hat to dig through the deck. Yeah, and Neuropanzer asked what the best line of play is for Kevin at this point. And really he has 2 biotics in hand. He was able to get back up to 14 credits, so he's able to use biotic. And yeah, the best play probably is for him just to try to score out from hand as much as he possibly can. Had it been able to score all 3 ABT without that one getting picked off with the Top Hat run, which is a sentence I hadn't expected to say today. Then he still would have only been at 6 points and needed to find another one somewhere, either sneaking out an agenda, which it looks like Matt probably wouldn't allow, or I don't know, maybe putting a macrophage over one of the servers that he already has set up and trying to, tax on virus counters. It's not really clear to me. I honestly have no idea how you can defend against the situation. All right, cool. So Moons and Friends. It's not nothing. It feels a little bit like maybe too little too late. The naked MCI 30 policy is going to last, about 1 click. It gets trashed for free with the Desperado credit and 2 bad pub. So I think it's looking like kind of the last stages here. So the second GPI is down, which is interesting. I'm not really sure what that is for. That's fine. So Kevin being on 20 credits, having the Sansan, which he did not go for, sitting in server 1, means that Kevin does have the ability to score out this GFI from hand, installing it in server 1, double biotic, and Sansan, costing him 14 credits, leaving him on 6. Leaving him on 10 probably with Moons. Makes it so that, puts Kevin back in the game. And if he can dig up the 3rd biotic, then he'll have a shot at scoring out this ABT. If it can, last that long without getting eaten. So here I think Kevin has to fire moons. Archive memories, that'll do. Fire moons and get the... Oh, where did the GFI go? Did he... Oh, maybe he Wampoa'd the GFI? That's unfortunate. Yeah, I think there could have been a winning line there if he had installed the GFI in server 1, scored it with the 2 biotics, and then used archive memories to bring back biotic and score the ABT next turn. But we'll see. So I'm not really sure I understand the multiple net taps here. I think that, yeah, no, I don't really follow them. I'm not sure what's gained by installing multiples of them if you're not actually going to, do the trash to jack out. Yeah, it doesn't say that. A question was asked, does it only fire once per turn? It doesn't say anything about that. So I think it'd really just be if he was, oh, I see. Okay. So he can stack them and he can use, you can expose the ice 3 times and rack up 3 turtle counters every time that he runs out an unrest ice. So that makes sense. That's pretty good. Those counters are really valuable. Wow, who would have thought GPI net tap? A card. Okay, so yeah, this is looking tense. So with Sandberg on the table, 19 credits, and Sansan in server 1, and a loaded moons. Kevin can, he can still rack up 12 turtle counters in a single turn if he feels like, he wants to. But this is the first time in a while that Kevin's actually been in a position where he can threaten an ice that would actually, stop turtle in his tracks. All right, so Sandoz is up. Now Matt's got to take his business elsewhere for a couple of clicks. Yeah, Matt, Neuropanzer has asked whether Matt might also be running Forge activation orders, given that it works well with a GPI net tap. I don't know, he might be. I haven't seen any yet. There's still 12 cards left. It looks like he was running 3 mining accidents. So maybe, maybe this is strictly tech against this matchup, because Kevin's been on stream a couple of times and hasn't been shy about talking about what's been happening in the tournament. So he knows that Kevin's on a horizontal build, and maybe thought that Six's influence going to bad pub and credit denial was a good thing, and that seems to have been a pretty reasonable trade-off so far. We've got 3 biotics in hand and 1 agenda, and I'm guessing that there's a lot of agendas sitting in those bottom couple cards of R&D. There's only 10 cards left in R&D, so we are actually we're getting into top hat range. And God, I would love it if accessing the 5th card from the top was just like a guaranteed win. That would make my day. Top hat range. So at this point, it really seems like Kevin's best play is to biotic ABT. Hope that Matt doesn't pull any agendas off of R&D next turn. Then I guess just dig and hope that the double biotic, and I can't recall if the Sansan actually stayed in server 1. I think there is a Sansan sitting in server 1 right now. So that might be enough to carry him over the finish if you can draw into another 4-2. All right, so I think that was 2 Marylands, and Adonis went down, which at least keeps Matt from, racking up triple turtle counters on running unres dice, allowing him only just to get the 1 turtle counter and an AS credit if he checks those remotes. And I guess he probably should, because he's got to know that Kevin is a little bit under the gun and might be trying to sneak out an agenda. So Blue Moose has actually stopped being effective at this point. We've had, I guess, cards removed from the game. So we've got the triple expose. See if he jacks out. He's not jacking out. That was a 9th strength Fairchild, so he's going to need to click through that. And he pays to trash it. So, at this point now, Ace is looking a lot more manageable. All right. And he's got the buyout or the ABT down. He's got enough econ assets on the board that he should be able to score anything that he draws from hand next turn if Matt doesn't terrorize this. Oof. And we see a legwork, but it's not exactly the right time. I think this might be like the first time the entire game that Kevin hasn't had at least one agenda in HQ. Oh no. Double legwork. Thinking there's at least one agenda in there, which is not unreasonable. But he will be disappointed. And also, given the composition, he's not even sure if he's seen all the cards in HQ yet. So he's going to be able to run here and see 2 cards using Top Hat, and I don't really know whether there's an agenda in there or not. It might be best, honestly, to go 5 deep and see what you find at the bottom there. I hope he goes 5 deep. Position 1. All right. So let's see. Position 2, nothing there. So I think at this point, if Matt runs twice and gains 6 turtle counters or more, I guess run 3 times, rack up 9 turtle counters, and then be able to run R&D and dig around using Top Hat to see. There's got to be an agenda, I don't know, 4 down at this point. But I guess he can't safely run any of these promotes when Kevin's on 23 credits because he might just choose to res it, and then he would have to lose a net tap to survive that. So with 32 credits and archive memories, Kevin has a decent amount of plays here. It looks like right now he's electing to basically keep on purging viruses, and eventually he'll top deck an agenda, hopefully a GFI, and be able to score it out if it can survive in his hand for a turn. We've seen 2 legworks. I imagine there's probably a third in there somewhere. But at this point, he really doesn't have a ton of options for for hiding stuff. So Kevin now is resing Rototurret so that at a minimum he can deny him the turtle counters on that run, but he's already up at 8, so he's going to go ahead and check R&D. And let's see what number he picks with Top Hat, and whether he can pull an agenda out of there. Position 1, new card for both of them, and that's it. So there's the game. That was really tense.
Dude, that that was so hard.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, the stream was going nuts for Top Hat over here.
Oh my gosh.
We were like, yeah, it was yeah, that was nuts. He had legworks in hand for a lot of the game, and it's like he finally fired them.
I had so many agendas in hand too.
Yeah, no, I think it was interesting because like looking
I
at
should have read that Rototurret at the end. I'm really annoyed because because if I could keep purging him and keeping him out R&D and draw into GFI, and my Maryland campaign was going to go off next turn. Right now it's at the very bottom of my deck because I put it there. So I needed Maryland to fire it off to like mix it up and try and get GFI, and I could score out, or I could even start scoring out the successful field tests because I have 2 in the deck right now.
So at this point, do you know like exactly what the bottom of R&D is? Have you been keeping track of it?
The bottom is, well, all I know is the GFI, yeah. Okay. And the other successful field test.
Yeah, I was trying to think whether like Top Hat going 5 deep would just like put him straight in the middle of your agenda pile, or whether there'd been a shuffle at some point that I'd forgotten about.
Yeah, this breaker is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is a good breaker. So I don't want to keep you from whatever. But I'm curious about like at what point in the game did you feel like there was a turn? Like, did you feel like you were kind of like on your back foot for a while, or did you feel like you were ahead and then?
Well, I felt like, pretty good
started until charging up like crazy.
Well, I felt really good with that macrophage early, right?
Yeah.
But then the biggest issue, because I got rid of that turtle, and then I didn't realize this combination with GPI net tap. That is crazy.
Yeah, the triple net tap is.
I should have rezzed maybe. I guess that probably would have been better. In hindsight, I don't know. Actually, I didn't know what I was dealing with, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I think that I think you're right that like you can make do with him racking up turtle counters like 1 click at a time, like 1 per click. But being able to get 3 per click or 4 is really problematic.
Yeah, I should have read that Rototurret there, like, and then like just not let him. Well, then he would have ran the Fairchild. I guess that's over the pad. Yeah. He would have run something else to get it up.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, your economy was also a little bit weak in the early game.
Well, so that was him using Maxwell James to derez that Satyr like was really hard because I needed that up to get Maryland, because Maryland, you got to get Maryland going fast. So, and then you can usually take it away. Now the question is, what do I do? Do I play this again? Holy crap!
Well, I don't know, but I will let you decide that. And
okay,
I will.
Last time in the cut, the first round of the cut, he killed me, and I played Corp, and I lost, and he was totally teched against me, and then I did it again. And I lost. So,
all right. Well, good luck and have fun. I'm looking forward to watching the next match.
Holy cow! Okay, sweet. Thanks.
Right. Bye. So I'm looking at the screen and I'm wondering if Kevin was muted for that entire conversation. So this is a seriously low budget operation. I apologize for that. Okay, cool. No, he just muted himself now. Great. Awesome. Great news. And the Peanut Gallery has let me know that they heard him, so that's wonderful. So let's see if I can find their current game. Yeah, so while I'm waiting for that to show up, let's see what are some comments that I missed. So yeah, it looks like people were talking about whether Kevin had to play with the archive memory to get out of a jam. So getting Sandberg back could have worked. I think that his best line towards the end there was trying to leverage the triple biotic and the Sansan to get the GFI scored from hand. Yeah, seemed like a good plan. It didn't quite come together. Yeah. And Neuromancer did the math and said, yeah, he was only on 2 GFI. So maybe that wasn't practical. But yeah, he was a little bit weak on econ in the early game. It took him a while to ramp up, and most assuredly, Matt was able to kind of sit down on top of that, and keep his game from snowballing, keeping his ward from growing too fast in the early game. So that was just smart play all around. And that was a great game. I've been like super happy with the games that I've played this tournament and the games I've been able to spectate. It's been really. Oh, and I see that Kevin has decided to run it back again. Try to turn his luck around now that he knows what Matt's game plan is. That's a bold move. I think that it's tough to assume that you can turn around a loss rather than putting your faith in something that you haven't tried yet. And starting with an open HQ with the siphon in hand doesn't feel great. Okay, looks like he's reconsidering that. Probably a good call. But anyway, we'll see how this goes. I think that having played against Kevin a number of times, he's really good at adapting to matchups and figuring out what sort of tech to put in and how to adapt his gameplay to deal with his opponent's plans. So I think that it's a much more defensible choice to corp a second time for this player than it is for the average bear. Right. So Matt's probably feeling pretty all right about this hand. Special order and express delivery mean that he is going to get, he has some draw and he's going to get turtle whenever he wants it. Desperado is great. He's probably trying to see whether he's interested in resing this to keep out a siphon. Cool. Click right through it, no problem. One thing that's potentially a bummer for Kevin here is, okay, rough start. Aside from having your agenda stolen immediately out of your hand, 1 out of 5, is being on 1 credit, and Matt knows that he can siphon if he wants to, and knows exactly that it's going to cost him 3 clicks and he'll be tagged So as long as he just doesn't install any resources beforehand or installs, I don't know, Maxwell James so that he can siphon HQ Maxwell James to shut down whatever gets rest on R&D. And just kind of be off to the races. This is looking like a really strong start for Matt right now. Bad pub in the house. And Neuroprancer has pointed out again the benefit of having really cheap ice to shut down early HQ accesses, or at least free early HQ accesses. Yeah, so here we are. So gets the siphon off. Kevin with the Maryland is able to bounce back from it relatively effectively. And we'll see if Matt tries to continue clamping down on Econ as he did last game by running for that Maryland and taking it out. With the bad pup and Desperado, he's going to be, he's really well set up to contest remotes and horizontal play. Unfortunately, by stealing that ABT, he has denied himself the Ian credits. And it looks like we've got a number of players cycling through as spectators, whose names I recognize from the cut. So this has been an interesting tournament in terms of in the first few rounds, no information was given to players about what their opponents were running, so they didn't know factions or anything. And but a lot of people have been playing with open games because it's a pretty casual tournament, and discussing strategies and decks as things go along. And so there's kind of been getting progressively more and more tech incorporated as time goes on. And especially in the cut, we can expect to see a lot of people adapting their strategy and adapting their card choices for their opponents. So I should have given a shout out earlier to Fighting Walloon, John M. This is a really great tournament he's organized. This is the second one he's organized now. And I think it's been a lot of fun, a lot of community involvement, a lot of people streaming, commenting on games. It's been awesome. All right, we got a top hat down, so we know that Kevin's in trouble. Well, I mean, it is only one influence, it's God, I love that hat. Man. Just cleaned house here. Showing Kevin, once again, yeah, you gotta ice this stuff. So it looks like there he was really just installing the stuff with the highest trash cost, because he knows that Matt's going to be able to go for it if he feels like it, and um, it's got to cost at least 2 if he's going to tax anything. So allowing Kevin to get the Seder res might become problematic later on. After last game, Kevin is definitely going to know that he can't just leave unres sitting around, because it superpowers Turtle. Yep. That central run. Man. I've been playing a couple, 3 mining accidents up until this point, but I think that I've never actually gotten to pull them off in the tournament through some combination of, the corp always having a little bit of money, or more likely the fact that I'm playing max like an idiot and mill them all the time, so I hardly ever get to actually get them in hand. But they are certainly doing a lot of work this game and last game. So a free trash of Wampo Reclamation. We are now at Super Wizard stage with 2 Bad Pub and Desperado. So, I don't really think there's anything that Kevin can put on the board that isn't going to get trashed immediately at this point. Floating tags is probably this is a safe proposition, really. I mean, there's no resources that he needs except for maybe Blue Moose. Maxwell James, if he installs it, he's probably going to use it. He'll do it if he needs to use it immediately. Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and check that immediately. Do the clicky. And there was an SX in there. So he's going to clear it out and really just keeping Kevin's econ from taking off. Kevin has managed to rack up 5 moons in the course of all of those, cards that got immediately trashed, which is not nothing. Ooh. Yeah, let's fix that. Yep. Yeah, so Neuropanzer is pointing out that, even though Kevin is low on econ and has given up 2 points at this point, he's effectively dealt with the GPI triple GPI turtle situation, which was his downfall last game. So we'll see. I think that having 6 counters on moons is that goes a long way. So he's got enough that he can fire moons probably get maybe get another biotic if he's feeling lucky. Yep, he got it. So he can, well, we'll see what he does with this. So he's got enough now that he can install and fire the ABT immediately. I think there's the field test went down. And looks like a double biotic to score it out. No, is it city grid in there? Okay, great. So we'll score that and then use the field test to install, basically everything, I'd guess. So that was in Adonis, I think. Sandberg and server 2. And then, that was Maryland and server 12, maybe. Ice on R&D, which is fine. I think that was the toll booth. He is going to have to watch out. Yeah, all of this ice makes me a little bit nervous. Just that if he doesn't have the credits to res it, then Matt is going to be able to set up again for this kind of crushing late game multiple net tap turtles situation. Yeah, on one credit, he's totally safe just to run through here. Desperado. Take a look. Check number 1, check number 2. All right. Oh, 3 times the charm. Yeah. The Neuropanzer points out that, given that Matt only has 3 cards in hand right now, Kevin knows that he's got a couple of turns before he's actually set up to take advantage of all this ice. So if Kevin can kind of effectively build up his econ in that time and start actually threatening to res that ice, then he's not in bad shape. I agree with that. Thanks, Neuropanzer. You're the best. It looks like we're probably going for a turtle now. Oh, that's interesting. So, she special order to go get a SOCR, which is the bird breaker for barriers. Yeah, it looks like as long as he thinks that Kevin has ice that's too expensive to res, which he does, he's going to keep on picking away and looking at top couple of cards each turn. Seems like a good use of time. All right. So with the Sandberg sitting at server 2, he can't immediately score out an ABT in that server. It looks like he's just going ahead and rebuilding his board state and relying on this lull in Matt's board to get set up. So Pat and Obampo go down. Matt's just going to go ahead and keep clearing out this econ. So it's kind of crazy. At this point, I mean, Kevin's only got 15 cards left in R&D. We're seeing 5 agendas on the board right now between what's been stolen and what's in hand. Yeah, just letting that ride. Interesting. Installing the blue moves and trying to slow Kevin down here. Yeah, so maybe not exactly what he meant to do with his 4 credits and blue moves, but we'll see if Kevin thinks it's worth yeah, okay. That seems reasonable. And Netrunner people. The best people. And our Panzer points out that by not resing the Wampoa, in addition to keeping the credits, he's also Kevin is fine with having agendas in hand because he can score them out just like that. 10 credits, no turtle, and winning agendas in hand probably feels pretty good right now. So there's no card you don't recognize. So leave no trace. What does that card do? Yeah, so Kevin can sew this up in 2 turns if Matt doesn't get on that sand real quick. So this is stuff Matt needs to, take out the sand, which he should be able to do. 3. He should have the credits to take that out. If he doesn't, then that's the game. Okay, so getting in there and taking out the sand is good because it keeps him from losing immediately. And now we'll see. Kevin's got a biotic in the bin, and archive memories in hand. So he's only a few credits off from being able to double biotic score the field test. And he might just go for that. Oh my god. I think this is the first Ian trigger we've seen so far. So look at him go. 2 credits. Oof. Hits the roto turret and immediately gets something trashed. That takes one out of his sails. So that looks like game. Kevin's got the field test in the remote and 4 clicks to score it. So continuing the trend of great games. That was super well played.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah. Hey, nice game, man. Way to turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, just get my rice rezzed and go faster, I guess.
Yeah.
Not saying that turtle was helpful.
Yeah, having some reprieve from Turtle was definitely a big help, and also, I mean, it was clear from the beginning that you knew kind of what you were up against and how to adapt your play to it. So that's interesting. Going and picking the side that you just lost on is always it's a bold move. But yeah, well played. That was cool.
Yeah, I feel like I just needed to go faster, and I mean that successful field test play was super expensive, but I kind of wanted to just overload the board. I kind of needed to, even though it broke me.
Yeah,
so I thought I might have lost on R&D there, but it was the risk I had needed to take.
Yeah, did you feel threatened at all with the multiple mounting accident in Desperado? I mean, that must have
annoying. I'm like, man, do I just pay the 5 or do I take the bad pub? Bad pub is bad.
Yeah, it is really bad. It's interesting. I'll be interested to know, talking with mbzrl after these matches, whether like how much tech he put in for this matchup and or whether he's just been playing mining accidents since the beginning, because it is a pretty big chunk of his limited influence. So
yeah, but anyway. It did work.
Yeah, it did serious work.
Anyways,
yeah, those were cool games. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I got to step out for a couple minutes, but I'll be back on in a few. So I might miss the start of this game, but
great. Thanks.
I'll see you soon. Yep. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, well, we're back. Sorry for that delay in the commentary. Let's see if I can figure out what happened while I was gone. All right, so Neuropancer's filling me in. Kevin Dirty Laundry's Warroid Tracker Maryland Remote. And there is a sick ABT score. Hedge fund. Yep. Byron Work Crew install advanced Sansan res score it. That is a sick play for sure. Oof. And it looks like Kevin was able just to pull. Oops. Yeah, and Kevin's Gauntlet's been doing work in terms of setting up quickly and getting some HQ multi-access. So hitting 5 points with that Gauntlet is probably leaving Kevin feeling pretty good. But Matt's sitting on 2 Biotics and a Sansan. And is probably also feeling all right about his chances here. So it looks like a nice even match so far. Good, clean fun. So we got CFC excavation contact showing up. It's an interesting agenda for HV. It's definitely sees more impact in Architect of Tomorrow, but By-Ride Work Crew is also has a By-Ride subtype, and so it's a reasonable econ agenda, especially in a format where you don't have corporate sales team to fill in for your last agenda points. So I think that in Cache Refresh, Shaper is actually in really good position in that they have access to infection R&D pressure with Maker's Eye, deep data mining, and of course Top Hat. But they also have the option of Gauntlet at 1 influence. Gives you 2 MU, which is nice for shapers that tend to put up a big rig with cloak and stealth breakers. Oops. Yeah. So you still have the options to play a lot of tech cards like Parisia from Creation and Control that helps you deal with the horizontal matchup without having to compromise too much on the rest of your deck. in the last Cash Refresh tournament, I played as a Temujin Smoke as well, using Gauntlet for multi-access, and Gauntlet was, basically the key to winning most, if not all, my games. So that was the CFC excavation. This one down there. Scored it out and gained back 8 credits. So, that worked really well. That Warrior Tracker is also Bioid, and so being able to biotic and score that for essentially a net of 0 credits is great. So Kevin's got the 3rd breaker in hand to complete the set, as well as a fem. Never need to install those yet, so he's definitely just kind of taking his time and trying to win off of multi-access. Being on 5 points feels pretty good here. And that's the game. So sorry I missed the beginning of it, but Matt Runner actually has played. These were really exciting games. His runner is crazy. Really exciting games. Great play on both sides. Yeah.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, nice job, man. Congratulations making it to the next round of the cut.
Oh, man, if he had scored that, what is that, elective upgrade? Holy cow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was away from my computer for the first part of the match. So I had to get filled in by various people in chat about what happened in the early part. So I don't know, maybe you can tell me your perspective of the game. How did you kind of feel that the game evolved? How did your strategy adapt throughout it?
I thought it was
a normal kind of match up with your
I thought it was a normal Moons deck. And so I was like, I can't really contest I can contest remotes if I have a good starting hand, but I didn't have a good starting hand. So then it comes down to contesting HQ, and then secondary is R&D. Because like in Cash Refresh, it's really hard to get rid of agendas from your hand without Jackson. So, and Gauntlet is really good.
Yeah, Gauntlet is great.
And basically what it was, I was like, I had Houdini, I had Gauntlet, and then I was like, oh, I got this Fairchild. If I just keep pressuring this is going to be a real pain for him. And obviously, like,
apparently,
yeah.
Well, you'll see when you watch the replays, but apparently, when you scored the paper trail from hand, he had elective in hand also, so you could have gotten 5 off of that run or something like that.
Oh, that would have hurt.
Yeah,
I mean that's how these HB decks, like I mean I've been playing these HB decks, and like you get so many agendas in hand you don't know what to do with, and and I didn't. Did he have special report? Or
yeah, he's got one in hand right now.
He maybe played them.
Looks like it's influences. Special report, 2 special reports, 3 special reports. San, that takes you most of the way there.
It looks, he's not a typical Moons. It looks like he's doing something else with Bioroid Work Crew, and then he did like that hedge fund to Bioroid Work Crew to.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's using the fast advance with Bioroid Work Crew and MCI Austerity as his main scoring plan. And yeah, instead of going for like kind of the asset heavy build, he's got a lot of
I wasn't expecting I'm actually gonna look here now. Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting to see like Ichi and that kind of stuff. I thought there was gonna be a typical Moons build when I started playing, and then I was like, this is different. What's going on here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the only way I was gonna win is if I kept pressuring, and seeing that Temujin was actually very helpful. I was gonna lose tempo really fast. And I was really debating. I mean, Blue Moose is super good, but I knew he had a Sansan on there, and I didn't want him to like start scoring out real fast with me, like with no money. And so I was a little nervous. I took it back when I installed it, and I was like, okay, I'll just wait here a little bit. I mean, like if I can, maybe I should credit up or something. I didn't know what was the best play, but it worked out. So both of these matches have been really hard because I did not know what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. So Neuropanzer, I've been chatting with him in StimHack or in Slack during these games, and he's saying that the mat was on Honor and Profit actually for his big box here.
Oh,
so I don't think we saw any cards from it actually, but having a fast track into Bioroid Work Crew.
Oh, I did see a fast track. I did see a fast track on top of R&D. That's the top card right now.
Okay.
And I was like, wait, what is this?
Okay.
Oh, that makes he fast tracked into Bioroid Work Crew. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Fast tracks these into Bioroid Work Crew to install it, and then fast advance it with whatever tools you happen to have on board. So that's cool. That's a very cool way to play it. I'm glad I hit
that agenda, because otherwise I would have been hard to. Because like I was just going for HQ runs, right? Oh wow.
Well, cool. Well, nice job, man. Great games. They're really cool to watch. I think that you'll probably enjoy watching the replays of them.
That first one was such a grind.
If that's yeah, yeah, that was a long game, but really well played by both of you. Those were super cool. I'm glad that you guys were cool with having it streamed and having my ill-informed opinion spouted over top of them. So
cool. I'm excited to watch. Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, and good luck the rest of the games. And hope I don't have to see you for a while.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Take it easy, man.
Bye.
Cool. So that will be the end of our broadcast. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again to Fighting Walloon, John, for organizing this tournament. Big thanks to Matt and Kevin for allowing this stream to go on. And thanks to Neuropanzer and to all the people on stream that were giving me commentary and helping me understand what was actually going on. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks.